15 of us total that went. So all from different backgrounds and different majors. So we had like some political science students, human rights. We got some photographers with us. So it's kind of nice to get like just a round view perspective from everyone. So basically what the Moral Courage Project aims to do, this semester we looked at immigration. Not sure if you guys saw, but last year they looked through like Ferguson's Voices. So after the shootings and everything, they got to go down to Ferguson and then they presented their exhibits. So it's kind of what we'll be doing, but in terms of immigration and borderlands. So we went down to El Paso, Texas, which borders Juarez, Mexico, and essentially what like moral courage means. So we were looking for individuals who essentially exemplified moral courage within like their community. So they were just ordinary day people, but they were making like these big differences within their community, whether it was big or small. But that's essentially what we were looking for in terms of like storytelling. So one of the big things that you hear about stats and like facts, but it's a lot more like personal once you get to hear it from that one-on-one person. So that's what we aimed to do.
So like personal courage would be like taking a stand that you're kind of afraid for yourself and like, I don't know if I can see myself doing this, but you make it anyway. And then moral courage would be like taking a stand and taking a risk, not only for like your personal self, but like for a community or something you see as society going in the wrong direction, you take a stand against that. So it's not just the personal sense, it's the society sense.
And then, like I was saying, so the two cities that we were next to, so in El Paso, Texas, in the United States, and then Juarez, Mexico on the other side. So it's basically not even, like if you drive to the border, we were like 5 minutes away from it, and then you just walk across the border. During our time here, we just realized just how fluid the border really is between these two cities. Like they pretty much can't exist without each other. So people will come from Juarez, Mexico, work in the United States for the day, and then leave, or people from El Paso will leave and go work over there too. So just kind of meeting with different people while we were there, just seeing how like people would go down there and get like food or go to the movies or go to like a nightclub. So just really making that big emphasis that like those two are really like interconnected, and they wouldn't be where they are today without each other.
So like economically and culturally, but then it's kind of, the fluidity is kind of a privilege because if you don't have that work visa, it's not fluid for you. And you might have family, but even though they're minutes away, you won't see them because you don't have that visa.
So this is just like kind of a skyline overview where we went to like our first day. I'm trying to find it. I don't think this shows you. Yeah. I'm trying to like show you where like El Paso would stop and Mexico would begin, but like it's very hard to like tell. Even when he was pointing it out to us when we were there, like I like still couldn't really tell. Like I can tell you this side's Mexico because this mountain right here on the Mexican side, it says like the Bible is the truth. Read it in Spanish actually. So you could like see that from pretty much anywhere you were at. So, and then just in terms of talking about like living in the border, so big emphasis on how like the border like is actually a place, people live in it, people are affected by what is happening around it. So basically like when you do your discussions today, so like just be like mindful of that.
Yeah, just we always talk about what happens at the border. We talk about where the border should be, how we should treat the border, but we forget that there are people living in it, and this is a changing political boundary, and there are people who we talk to who in their lives they switch sides in terms of they may have been in the same place, but the border changed around them, and so there are people who have built their lives living in this borderland, and so understanding their stories helps us to better understand what immigration looks like. And I for us to be affecting that border and be neighbors with those people. So, this is what the border looked like when we encountered it. But
yes, we were in New Mexico. Yes, and then just right on the other side is Mexico. We were actually able, like, on the first day. So I don't know if you can really tell, but there's like a house just like right here. One of the people that we went with, her name's Myra, and she was like fluent in Spanish, so we were actually able to talk to someone like right across from the wall that day. So it was very like kind of neat to see. And then obviously there's just like border patrol like, patrolling the border the whole entire time. And I believe this border was built like during, it was enacted Bush's area, and then it was finally finished like by the time Obama left presidency.
So something to keep in mind is when people say like we want to build a wall, like there is already a wall there, and it's like affects these people's lives on the daily. So it's just something to keep in mind. Like there already is a wall before the Trump administration.
And then this is the event called Hugs Not Walls. Person that's standing right here, he's like the president of the Border Network Human Rights. His name's Francisco. So some of you will be talking about him at your table. But what this event was, it was called Hugs Not Walls. Essentially, they do it twice a year. They started only about like 5 years ago. And they actually had pretty low turnout when they first started because people actually thought that like they were gonna get like deported if they came. But essentially, it's an event where families get to meet up with each other for 3 minutes on the Rio Grande. So it's dried up now. A lot of us were able to volunteer that day. So some of us were doing like interviews, talking to people before they went down to see their families, and when they came back up, some people were actually standing like on the Rio Grande like holding lines. They separate families into like 2 different colors. So if you're on the US side, you're wearing blue, and then if you're on the Mexico side, you're wearing white. And families get to come down and they get 3 minutes to basically hug, see each other, like, take photos. It's just a very like enlightening event. Kind of the way Francisco explained it to us was, although it is like a really beautiful event and these people get to see their families, it's also just like an act of defiance too as well, just to let people know that like these families shouldn't be separated. Like there shouldn't be a reason why they shouldn't be able to be with one another. I think probably one of like my favorite stories when we were there, I met a mom who had not seen her mom for 16 years. And she drove all the way from Colorado just to see them. So people are driving from literally all around. There's like a waiting list for it now, so it's become pretty popular. And each year he kind of emphasizes, he's like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this again. So they do have to work with like Border Patrol and like the U.S. and Mexican government. So that just kind of shows you how much like these people are appreciative and how much they interact like with one another, because if they didn't do that, this event would not be possible. And I was interviewing like most of the time, and a lot of the times like we'd ask people like kind of what are you so grateful for, and like they would be like, I'm just thankful that they let this event happen. And I mean, for a lot of us, kind of how we talk about human rights, and we're like, I can't believe this is happening, and like I'd be so outraged, but these people are just thankful for that opportunity. So it was definitely very beautiful to see. So within like each of your tables, we separated them by like different themes that we'll be presenting like our exhibits on. And then you also have like one person whose story you will be like kind of focusing on, but it's also like kind of broader. There we go. Speak. So throughout like your discussion, you could do that. This is next. Oh, and this is just the last photo. So this was just us at the that view that I showed you guys. in the beginning of El Paso and Juarez, Mexico. Any?
So if you have any questions, you can ask somebody at one of the tables about what this project was, but we're just excited to kind of look at what does it mean to be looking at the individual in immigration, and how does that inform our immigration policy, and how are we thinking about how to be good neighbors and how to kind of live in solidarity with these people who are living in this border, and whether it's on the border, on the other side of the border, in the border, like with the riverbed, that is, there's border on one side and border on the other, and inside is no man's land. So what does that mean if you're trying to be a neighbor to that space? So go ahead and read your excerpts if you haven't read that